Today, NVIDIA is more than just a company. It's the brain behind artificial intelligence, the silent force shaping the future of humanity. With a market value of over $3.3 trillion, equal to the GDP of an entire nation like India, NVIDIA stands at the heart of the digital revolution. But it all began with a dream, a lunch, and just $40,000. This is not just a business story. This is the story of belief, of risk, and of a vision that rewrote the destiny of modern technology. The lunch that changed the world, 1993. In April 1993, three young engineers sat at a Denny's restaurant in San Jose, California. Their names were Jensen Huang, Chris Malachowski, and Curtis Preem. No one around them could have guessed that this ordinary lunch meeting would one day birth a company that defines the future of civilization. Jensen, the youngest of the three, worked at LSI Logic as director of microprocessor development. Chris and Curtis were engineers at Sun Microsystems, experts in computer graphics. Between sips of coffee, they talked about one idea that wouldn't leave their minds. What if computers could see the world, not just calculate it? What if the future of computing wasn't about numbers, but images, graphics, vision? And there, inside that Denny's booth, NVIDIA was born, the $40,000 gamble. They had no office, no investors, no safety net, just $40,000 of their own savings, their entire world at stake. They rented a tiny office in Silicon Valley for $500 a month, barely big enough for 3 desks. During the day, they built GPU prototypes. At night, they prepared investor presentations. Each day stretched into 16-hour marathons. There was no backup plan. Failure meant the dream would die. The search for believers. Jensen, now CEO, carried the company on his shoulders. He visited dozens of venture capital firms, pitching the same dream again and again. Graphics will be the future of computing. Most investors laughed. Some said GPUs were too niche. Others said the idea was impossible. But Jensen refused to give up. He once said, "If we have to hear no 100 times to get one yes, we'll do it." Finally, Sequoia Capital, one of Silicon Valley's most respected firms, took a bet. They invested millions. That single yes changed everything. NVIDIA now had the fuel it needed to chase its impossible dream. First steps, the NV1 and a lesson in failure, 1995. After 2 years of non-stop work, NVIDIA released its first product, the NV1 graphics processor. It was bold, ahead of its time, and commercially a failure. But that failure was priceless, because in those missteps, NVIDIA learned what the world really wanted. They started listening to gaming studios, studying developers, and planning their next move. They were preparing for a revolution, the turning point. GeForce 256, 1999. The Y2K era was buzzing with the promise of new technology. That's when NVIDIA unveiled GeForce 256, the world's first graphics processing unit, or GPU, capable of real-time 3D rendering. It didn't just change gaming, it changed everything. For the first time, video games looked alive. Dynamic lighting, shadows, reflections. It was as if the digital world had taken its first breath. GeForce 256 became an instant sensation, earning NVIDIA over $200 million in its first year. The company went from a small team in a rented office to a market leader almost overnight. Storms of the 2000s. But success never comes without storms. When the dot-com bubble burst in 2000, the entire tech industry crashed. Sales plummeted. Investments vanished. Competitors like ATI began taking the lead with their Radeon series. For most companies, this would have been the end. But Jensen made a daring decision, one that could have destroyed NVIDIA or saved it forever. Instead of cutting costs, he increased research spending. His words to his team were simple: "When others panic, we build." And they did. Even as profits fell, they poured every dollar into innovation. The comeback 2004. After a painful series of failures, NVIDIA released the GeForce 6 series. It was powerful, efficient, and years ahead of its time. Gamers called it a beast. NVIDIA was back, and stronger than ever. Soon, their technology spread far beyond gaming. Hollywood used it for CGI. Scientists used it for research. Doctors used it for medical imaging. Engineers used it for simulations. By 2005, NVIDIA's revenue crossed $1 billion. But Jensen wasn't satisfied. He was already staring at the next frontier: artificial intelligence. The birth of CUDA and the age of AI, Jensen's new obsession was simple. If a GPU can render millions of images in seconds, why not use that power to think, learn, and simulate intelligence? And so began Project CUDA, a revolutionary platform that allowed GPUs to perform complex scientific calculations. With CUDA, things that once took weeks could be done in hours. It was like turning every GPU into a mini supercomputer. Scientists loved it, AI researchers adopted it, and soon NVIDIA became the engine driving artificial intelligence itself. The empire of the future. Fast forward to 2025. NVIDIA's chips power everything, from self-driving cars to supercomputers to the AI tools you use every day. The company's value now exceeds $3.3 trillion. And at its core still stands the man who once pitched his dream at Denny's, Jensen Huang, the visionary in his trademark black leather jacket. His leadership style? Unconventional. He treats engineers like artists and technology like poetry. Every NVIDIA presentation feels less like a business meeting and more like a rock concert for innovation. The legacy. NVIDIA began with a question: what if computers could see? Today, that vision has reshaped the entire world, from the games we play, to the cars we drive, to the AI that writes, paints, and dreams with us. NVIDIA's fingerprints are everywhere. So the next time you hear the word AI, remember that it all started with three dreamers in a diner, a $40,000 gamble, and a belief that the future could be built one pixel at a time. Because sometimes, the smallest dreams can change the course of human history. Soft orchestral rise. Subscribe for more inspiring business stories fades in. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more stories of visionaries who turned impossible ideas into global revolutions.